This MMA 30 segment is powered by The Gun Store. Next time you're in Las Vegas, if you want to shoot a real machine gun, do it at The Gun Store at 2900 East Tropicana. Dave Farah for MMA 30 alongside the bantamweight champion Dominick Cruz. Just hanging out with you and Urijah for the past couple of hours. You guys have spent a lot of time together, but you don't seem warm, like you guys are necessarily best of buds just yet.
Nah, far from that. You know, he just gets under. He's just annoying. He just gets under my skin. I mean, what are you gonna do?
I'm going to classify this almost like a brother-type relationship at this point, though, where you guys spend a lot of time around each other, but you're just perpetually annoyed by each other. Is that a fair categorization?
I don't see myself anywhere near a brother to him. Like, I have a brother, and I love my brother. And while we argue and beat each other up all the time, I'm going to beat the hell out of Faber way worse than I do to my brother.
I look at you guys interacting together, especially on The Ultimate Fighter, and there's been some talks about this TV show this season and how it's changed so much being in the live format. There's been a lot of criticism towards it as well. Do you look at the show and say, you know what, maybe there's some things that they could fix with this new live format for The Ultimate Fighter?
I mean, other than the falling cameraman, I think it's been pretty good. We do a good job, and I don't know, the timing of everything could be changed a little bit. I think the time that it's aired could be changed a little bit. Other than that, I think that would be the biggest change. But the way that they format everything, I like it. I feel that the fighters get the best of it because, you know, they're fighting every week, and at the same time, it's 13 weeks, so it's even more of a camp than the past Ultimate Fighters. Now, some people say it could be more rough that way because you're locked in the house together, but at the same time, that's an extra 13 weeks that you're getting to learn and just focus on nothing but MMA. These guys are going to come out better fighters at the end of this, and everybody on the outside looking in sees a realistic look at what we go through. And also, on the live picks, sometimes some crazy stuff goes on, you know, like me embarrassing Faber the second episode. I mean, that can't happen unless it's a live situation, you know, and things like that just get thrown at you that you can't expect in this live situation, including the coaches. So you got to be on your toes the whole time when you're watching The Ultimate Fighter.
What's something that you've learned that surprised you about being in the mix of The Ultimate Fighter and actually being a coach at long last?
Man, what's shocked me the most is actually how real it is. Like, I always visualized reality TV kind of being like somewhat staged. None of it really is not. Like, it seems staged because you're like, how did they get that on camera? Well, because there's cameras everywhere in this place. And on top of there being cameras everywhere, we're all hooked up with microphones the second we walk in there. So all the cameramen can hear everything. Everything you say, if me and Faber walk past each other and we start talking, saying anything to one another, there's a swarm of cameramen that come out of nowhere to hear every word you're going to say. So it's just, I'm actually shocked at how realistic it really is. And at the same time, I'm also shocked at how much work it is. It's a lot of work. I had no idea the amount of time you end up having to spend in front of the cameras after you're done practicing, before you're practicing. I mean, it's just a ton of work.
Two last things for you. Jon Jones had a very dominant performance over Rashad Evans at UFC 145. We know that Dan Henderson is up next, but a lot of people are talking about Alexander Gustafson as possibly being a contender. You train with Alex. What are your thoughts? Is he ready for Jon Jones? Could he pose some real challenges to him if they fought today?
Alex Gustafson can pose a challenge to anybody. I watch that guy striking, and I try to pick from him, man. That guy's unbelievable. His striking is unreal. I see him in there, and he's taking people down. His game has just stepped up in the past year two times faster than I've seen anybody. He's trained with us since he came out from Sweden and started training with Phil Davis, and I've just seen his game escalate like nonstop. It's extremely impressive. The guy's work ethic is unreal, and he absolutely poses a threat to Jon Jones. As for Jon Jones and Rashad, I have nothing negative to say about that fight. Rashad had an outstanding fight. Jon Jones did what he does, and he made adjustments round by round to figure out how to beat up somebody that knows his style, that knows what Jon Jones does best. You see Jon Jones always flipping people and tripping them whenever he gets in that clinch. Rashad knows every takedown he has from there. He didn't get him once with that. But there's adjustments that Jones made that were very impressive to beat Rashad, and he deserves that win. Rashad did a great job fighting also. And as for Dan Henderson, that's going to be a grimy fight, man. Henderson's going to have to figure out a way to get inside somehow. You have to grind out a wrestling match with Jones. That's your best bet if you're Henderson. You have to get in insane shape. You have to be willing to eat some shots to get on the inside, and you have got to put Jon Jones on his back. I mean, and that's to say that nobody's put Jon Jones on his back yet, except for himself. So who's to say he doesn't have a vicious guard? We don't know.
There's been some early lines that have come out for Dan Henderson versus Jon Jones. How big of a favorite do you think that Jon Jones is before I tell you?
Oh, man. Well, if he was 5-1, I believe, on Rashad, it's got to be 7-1 at least. I would
9-1.
I don't know about that. You know, I'm not gonna say this sport is just so tricky, and anybody with the overhand right like Dan Henderson and the wrestling pedigree that he has, a lot of Jon Jones wrestling comes from the clinch. That's where Dan Henderson does the most damage on everybody. Jon Jones is not a shooter. He starts from the clinch and he works down the body from the upper body because of his length and his range. So if he tries to clinch with Dan Henderson, he's working into Dan Henderson's comfort zone. It's all going to come down to the fact that I believe Jon Jones is smart enough to know that. Stay out of the clinch, keep Henderson on the outside, pick him apart until he gets a finish. 9-1 underdog, I don't know about that.
Final one for you. Chael Sonnen, Henderson Silva, main event of UFC 148. It's a fun fight, but how do you actually see this one playing out, being where both of these fighters are today?
You know, honestly, it's a fun fight, like you said, and it's tough to call because you look at what happened last time. Chael went in there and was beating him up for 4.5 rounds, and he's made a career of that, doing that with a couple guys. He did it in the WC back when I watched him. I've seen him beat the crap out of people, and then right at the end of the fight, he gets tapped. So the key is, can he keep that from happening in this fight again? I think if he can, he should win this fight with Anderson Silva. I think that he has the tools to do so, and I think that he's a terrible style matchup for Anderson. But Anderson's proven time and time again why he's a champion. To go and get your butt whooped for 4.5 rounds, come back and get that submission at the end of the round, that's what a champion's made of. That's something you strive to be as you strive to be as a champion, is somebody who can do that, who could take a butt whooping and then come back and finish the fight. That's unbelievable. So I'm going to take Chael in this fight, but it's going to be another risky one, and it's going to be tough to call.